Welcome back to another Coffee and a Chat. Uh, I hope you guys know that I really do pray about the things what it is that God would have me to share. And I really, I want to follow his leading. Now, I may not always be good at delivering it. I'm definitely not an eloquent speaker, and I don't know if I ever was. Maybe I've always been Angie. That's okay. I don't really care anymore. I'm not worried about what anybody thinks. But I do want you to know that I really do seek the Lord on what to share. And so today, what I'm going to share with you is some things that He's been dropping in my heart and talking to me about. And then this morning, kind of brought them all together. And so I'm going to share that with you. The first thing that he began to talk to me about several days ago, and you see this in scripture, that a lot of times when Jesus was speaking, he would say, "Let he who has ears to hear, hear." And God began to drop into my spirit, Angie, let he who has eyes see, let he who has ears hear. And he began to show me that not everybody gets everything that we share or that we say. And there are some people, they'll flip on to this channel and they'll be like, what is she talking about, who cares, and they just move on, and that's fine. I'm not worried about it. But then there's others that it like really resonates with your heart, or it really touches you right with, it really concerns something that you're going through right now. And you get it, and you pull something out of it. And I know, I remember one time, this friend of mine, that she found this poem online, and it just really, really moved her. She was crying, it blessed her. And so she's like, and so she printed it off and gave it to me and said, "Here, read this. This is," and she was just crying as she did this. And I read that poem. I'm like, okay. I didn't get it. I had no idea what they were talking about. It didn't touch me. It didn't. And I'm like, and I remember I'm like, yeah, sometimes I can be a little too real, a little too honest. I've been told that one before. Sometimes you're just a little too honest for my liking. You're a little too real for me to handle. Well, it is who I am. And I just was like, I don't get it. What in here is? And she just like, I can't believe you don't get it. You don't see it. Oh my word. If you don't get it, I can't explain it to you. And she kept sobbing. Well, you know what? She's right. If somebody doesn't, there's some things in life, if somebody doesn't get it, we can't really explain it to them. There's some things we either get it or we don't. And spiritually, there's a lot of things that unless our hearts are open to the Lord and we're listening to Him and we're following Him, unless He, explains it to us, we're not going to get it. And I think that's part of why also, one of the things I love about reading the Bible is I can read the same passage every day for a year and get something new out of that little portion of scripture every day. And it's because it's whatever God, and highlights for, for that day that He wants me to see. And so I know that there's sometimes that there's things that some of you guys are like, oh, that is so amazing. And others are, probably the majority of people are going, huh? Is something wrong with her? Why does she have this channel? Is she a little special? She, you guys, I am so special. I'm proud of it. Okay, so I know that some people get it, some people don't, and I believe even sometimes for whatever reason that God blocks us sometimes from getting some things and understanding some things because of the season or what He's trying to do in our life. So yeah, so I get it that some people are going to understand what it is He's trying to say through whatever it is I'm trying to say. okay. And others, they aren't, and especially if it's not a message for you, if it's not a word that, for your heart right now, it may not mean anything. But there's others that are, really struggling. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times somebody will, is leaving it in the comments, or they're putting it in an email and sending it to me. That's usually when they want to give me the long version and tell me the details of what's going on. And I love it. I love getting these emails. And I love the comments, but be like, oh my word, this is exactly what I'm going through right now, or this is exactly what I needed to hear because of my circumstances today. Thank you for sharing that. As you told your story, I can hear my own story. Yeah, there's some people that like it really connects with in that moment. And, and I want to connect with people because I want to see people encouraged. I want to see them grow in the things of the Lord. I want to see their lives changed and transformed. I want my life changed and transformed. I want to be growing. I want to be getting it, but not everything's for everybody in that season. Not everybody's going to get it in that moment. And there's some things that some people they're just not going to see. And sometimes I've missed things that the Lord was trying to tell me because my mind was not really set in him. There yesterday I was talking to someone, and they were telling me how they give a full hour to God every week, where they just will sit down, and they try to make sure they give him an hour out of the week, and they pick a day and they just sit there and be quiet for an hour with the Lord, and they're, thinking this is pretty good. And I'm like, I remember a time when I thought that would be pretty amazing, but now it's like, once a week, I would be really lost and in trouble. I probably easily give God an hour or more every day. And honestly, you guys, it's not enough. And yet I don't know how you would even measure it though, because I'm constantly thinking about him. My mind is set on him. And that's where I have to be. If I'm not there, then I'm not going to get it. And that's me. That's me. That's the season I'm in. That's where I'm at in my walk with Christ. But the thing is, I know that the more I give of myself to God, the more I can see and the more I can hear, the more I get it. Yeah, when other things come in and distract me, and trust me, the enemy's constantly trying to send in distractions. That's when I start missing it, not hearing him, not seeing what he's trying to show me. And so I've been on this planet long enough and walking with the Lord long enough to know the importance of, what is it in First Thessalonians? I want to say 3:17. I don't know if that's right or not, but where it says to pray without ceasing. Oh, I get it now. I used to not get it, and I'm like, what? I'm supposed to always have my hands folded, my eyes shut. Like, how am I going to get around? How do I? Yeah, now I get it. I didn't get it back then. So, what I'm sharing today, there are going to be some of you that have eyes to see and ears to hear, and you're going to get it. And some of you aren't going to get it, and you're going to be like, I just don't see that. And that's okay. Yeah, I just say take it to God and ask him about it and see if there's something that you might be missing. But I know that in the end times, which I've said before, I do believe we're there, and some of you may totally disagree with me. Again, that's fine. I'm just going on what I see and what I feel the Lord's been showing me and telling me. But even those who belong to Christ, there are those who will be missing things, who will not get it and not see it. They're going to be caught off guard. And I'm saying they because I don't want it to be me. I do not want to be caught off guard. I do not want to be surprised. I want to be alert, awake, and alert and aware of what's going on around me. So important to me. Now, last night, we had the weather on before we attempted to go to bed. Trying to get sleep. I said today to Marvin, do you think the enemy's trying to take me out by not allowing me to get a good night's sleep? Because it's starting to feel that way. But not getting enough hours. Yesterday morning, I mean, at one point I had sat down and was talking to Marvin, and he was feeding the wood stove, and I was sitting in my recliner that's there by the wood stove, and I was gone. I took about a 3-hour nap, and I was still tired when I woke up, but it's like I could not go to sleep. I was beyond staying awake at that point. I was so exhausted. So, and I know that that's not healthy. It's not a good way to live. But right now, that just seems to kind of be my reality. So I might be in a battle. Pretty sure I am. Okay, so last night, before we attempted to go to bed, we had the news on to see what the weather is, because we kind of semi-homestead. I don't want to say that we really homestead. We don't have any animals other than the dogs right now. I want to get some chickens, but it's just more responsibility, more work. But even now, it's December, and we're still, we grow food, whatever we can, when we can, where we can. And, we're trying to survive and do things, and processing our own firewood and stuff. So there's a lot of work involved, and there's a lot of stuff that we have to do outside. And so paying attention to the weather is very important to us. And so we usually try to catch the weather each night, to get an update of what they're saying now is going on. Well, the guy is evidently, we're supposed to have some pretty intense storms come through today. And 100% chance of rain and thunder and lightning and possible tornadoes. And, we're talking some big stuff. And so the newscaster was going, so, if you're planning to go out tomorrow or do something, you're going to need to be careful about this, and you're going to need to remember about that. And he's going on. And then he goes, you know what? You need to just stay home tomorrow. Don't go outside. And he must have said that like 3 different times. Yeah, just stay home tomorrow. And I, and just kind of hunker in and try to wait out the storm. And I don't know, maybe it is going to be like that. We'll see. But I remember I told Marvin, I go, it kind of reminds me of my mom, when the weather would be like getting really bad, and you make sure, do you have, anybody old enough to know what galoshes are? Be sure you got your galoshes on. Do you have your scarf? You need to zip up that coat. Did you put a hood on it? You need a hat under that hood too. The hood's not going to be enough. And you need to put your scarf across your face to protect you. You know what? You need to just stay inside today. We're not going out. And so that's what it was reminding me of. But this morning the Lord was saying, Angie, he was trying to get across last night that there is a serious storm coming. Pay attention to what I'm telling you. Take precautions. Do what you need to do, and be ready to wait out that storm. You've got to be prepared for it, because if you go out there and you get caught in that storm, like today is hunting season. Hunting, we have one of our deer seasons. There's a special deer hunt that started yesterday, and they didn't used to allow hunting on Sundays, but they are now. And so there are probably guys planning to go out in the woods today to try and get their deer. Today's not the day to do it, but they probably won't. There'll be some that won't have listened, and they're going to try and do it anyway, and then they're going to get caught in the middle of things, if there truly is a storm, because they didn't pay attention, they didn't listen, they didn't believe it, they didn't have eyes to see or ears to hear. So I like, Lord, give me eyes to see, give me ears to hear, because he said, that's just the weatherman. And you thought that was so funny, and and he's just trying to give you his best educated guess, and which they're pretty good at, with the way they can track the storms and all and everything. it's involved, whatever that might be. And so, I mean, sometimes they'll tell us rain's going to start at 3 o'clock. I'm like, that's crazy. And at 3 o'clock, the rain starts. Yeah, it's kind of like, But anyway, I know that this storm is coming because it's hitting other places on its way to us, and we're in the path. So I'm paying attention to what they said, and we'll see how that affects our day, because right now there's 3 people in this household. It's not just me. So, I'm affected by what those other 2 say too, and what they're thinking. Even if I stay in and they go out and get caught in a storm, it's going to affect me. So I don't have control over them, but I need to be smart. In fact, even as I'm sitting here, I'm looking out. I've got a huge picture window right here that looks out into the woods, and I'm watching the clouds moving pretty fast. And it's from the direction that storm's coming from. So, because that's west facing out here. And I mean, they're booking, there's some dark clouds booking in here pretty heavy. So I'm pretty sure the weatherman probably is right. But the thing is that God was saying is, in this world right now, there's a storm brewing. And it is like no storm that anybody has seen in their lifetime here. And if you got ears to hear this. I'm not talking about the weather. Although the weather is involved, it is a small fraction of it. But I'm not talking about the weather here. There is a storm coming. It's already been moving in. And there's a lot of those who are following Jesus that are thinking they're dancing in the sunshine, and they don't even know that this dark storm cloud is blocking the sun. They're not even aware. It is time to be more serious than we've ever been in our walk with God, and to be listening to Him and paying attention to what He's telling us, to get in the scriptures and see the warnings that are there, and go away, fly, and the things that are moving in on us. Because this storm comes at a high price. And if I'm not paying attention, if you're not paying attention, if we don't have our eyes open spiritually, if we don't allow God to open our eyes to see that storm, we're not going to understand what's coming. If we don't spiritually trust the Lord to spiritually open our ears to hear what He's telling us, we're not going to know what to do. So there are things that we need to be doing right now. There are plans that I have made that I have to rethink. There are things that I'm going to just have to trust the Lord about. There are assignments He's given me, and I need to fulfill the assignment. I'm not scared. I don't want to scare anybody, because the only fear I need to have is of God, the fear of the Lord. Yeah, the one who determines where I spend eternity. Yeah. So if you've got that hour a week that you're all proud of, that you're giving to God as your sister in Christ, I just lovingly want to tell you, you need to step that up. You need to give Him everything. I'm not even going to say an hour a day. You need to give Him everything, because we are stepping into a storm that we are going to need to know how to navigate, how to wait it out, when to hunker down, when to get up and go. We need to hear from Him, because He's the only one who knows what that storm is going to be. He's the only one. See, even the weatherman can't help me on this one. Even my preacher, my pastor, can't help me on this one. Only God has the control. Only God knows exactly timing and events. And can I go through the storm and be untouched by it? Probably not. You see, it's that old, you can't walk through a mud hole and not get some mud on you. And the world's kind of a mud hole at times. And this storm spiritually, it's a spiritual mud hole. And some things will touch us just like, because God, he takes me back to the children of Israel a lot lately. Their time in Egypt before they left, and then their time going through the wilderness. But while they were still captive in Egypt, when Pharaoh's heart was hardened and he would not let them go, there were 10 plagues that came on Egypt. Now, some of those plagues did not touch the house of Israel, and some of the plagues did. That they had to hunker down and wait it out. They had to endure some of the pestilence that came. When all them nasty gnats came, they were in their house too. But when the darkness came and there was no light, in the houses of Israel, there was light. If you haven't read the story in a while, go back and read about what took place. The final plague that came was the death angel and the death of the firstborn of anyone who did not have the blood of the Lamb on their doorposts. Yeah, see, if you let God open your eyes and let him open your ears, you'll see when you read that it's talking about so much more than the act of what they did. It was all symbolic of what was to come. But see, those that had the blood of the Lamb on the top part and the sides of their doorposts to mark the entrance into their home, they were safe. They were saved. The firstborn did not die. But those who did not obey God and did not have the blood of the Lamb on their doorposts, the firstborn of everything in their house died. The firstborn child, the firstborn child of their servants, the firstborn of their cattle, the firstborn of their pets, the firstborn of everything died. And in fact, I just read it the other day. As the children of Israel were leaving Egypt, when Pharaoh finally let them go, as they were leaving, the Egyptians were busy burying their firstborn. I can't explain the storm to you. I'll tell you, okay, that it is in here. It is in the Bible. He talks about these end days. He talks about how some of those who are claim to be followers of God are going to be deceived because they're not awake and alert and paying attention to him. They're still so caught up in the cares of this life and this world and the things they want. There are things that we're supposed to do and things we're not supposed to do. And every time that something comes along that we're not supposed to partake in, the cost, if we do partake in it, goes up. There is a separating of the goats and the sheep within the church. Personally, I believe that's already happening, that it already started a ways back. Yep, there's the storm coming. I'm telling you, there's a storm coming. It's already in place. It just hasn't really broke out yet with the great downpour that is coming. But I feel it's probably coming a lot sooner than what we think. So as we lead into the time of the return of Christ, the things in this world, there's going to be big changes. Those changes are happening. And the whole idea of when things get back to normal, that is a past thing. If you think life's got back to normal, you're missing it, because it has not got back to normal. One of the things that I'm seeing is, and I've been in this position where somebody says something, and so you believe it's true. You just accept what you're being told. And now God has pulled me out of that, and that's not so anymore. It's like that old story about the emperor's clothing, and this guy, getting all this money, saying he's made him this beautiful clothes to wear, and that only the really wise or whatever can see it. And so everybody pretends to see the emperor in these beautiful clothes, and it's just like, oh my goodness, it's just, we're amazed. And really, he's just walking around in his underwear. My prayer for you today is, if you're not seeing, is that God, that you will allow him to open your eyes. That if you're not hearing, that you will allow him to open your ears, so you don't miss what's going on. So you're not caught unprepared, unaware. And I'll tell you, there's one thing, preppers are a big thing right now. And I'm not saying that's bad. I think we should be prepared. We should be doing things, I may not agree with everybody's idea of what a prepper should be doing, but, I think you should have some food put back for emergencies, which in my house we're already in. I think there are things, it's a nagging fly, you can give him a name, that there are things that we should be doing. But I listen to people like, and so then when everything collapses and everything goes down, I'll have my land, I'll have my home, I'll have, because I own it, I have no debt against it. You know what? If you think you own your home or you own your land because it's paid off, think again. If you live in America, you don't own it. The government does. Because if you don't pay whatever taxes they put on it, they'll take it from you. We can get ourselves in a sense of false security. And one of the things God showed me, he spoke to me about it in some dreams, and he's spoke to me about it in his word, is there comes a time, and the children of Israel, again, when they were going through the wilderness, that's where they were at, where you just have to depend on the Lord. And it says that he sent manna from heaven, so they were fed every day with the bread of angels, that when they needed water, he even had it gush out of a rock, and he gave them, and we're talking a lot of people, over 1 million people, and he gave them food, he gave them water, they had shelter, their tents that they had to set up and stuff, they didn't wear out, that even their clothes did not wear out, and they were there for 40 years, but their clothing did not wear out, their sandals did not wear out. God took care of them. They didn't have resources. The preps that they had brought with them were more stuff to build the tabernacle when they got the spoils of Egypt. It wasn't for them to keep, but it was for them to use for the materials to build the tabernacle. It goes back to that video I did about faith a few months ago. That real faith in God is when there's absolutely nothing there, no resources. God says, I want you to sit down, and you sit down and trust him to hold you up, because you don't even have a chair to sit in. That's the kind of faith we need to have. That's where we need to be with God. See, my real preps, even though, yes, I make sure I've got a little food, a little bit of cash, maybe. Believe me, it's a real little bit. I don't even have enough. I might have enough to buy a gallon of gas. That might be how much I have in my purse right now. I kid you not. I don't care. And don't you worry about me. I don't worry about me. The Lord takes care of us. He is. Our land here where we live, my husband named it Jehovah Jireh before he ever knew me, because the Lord provides for us. And that's what Jehovah Jireh it means, is the Lord my provider. He provides for us. And when we need something, even out of absolutely nothing, he provides for us. So my real preparedness that I'm doing is learning to trust him and depend on him when there's nothing there, when there's no resources, so that even if I were to be put out of my home and all I could do is start walking, there's no fear, because he's got a destination he's taken me to, and he's going to provide for me along the way. And I don't need to be afraid. But see, if I don't have that close walk with him, if I don't have that deep intimacy with him, I'm going to be lost. You know, when I was a kid, I remember laying, and I might have told the story before, but laying out in the yard one day and the Lord telling me, enjoy the grass because you're not going to have it next year. Enjoy your dog because you're not going to have her next year. Enjoy that you can go play. Enjoy having your own room because you're not going to have it next year. All the comforts, all the things that I took for granted were going to be gone the next year. Now, I didn't know how they were going to be gone or what that looked like, but I, as a child, knew enough to go enjoy the life out of what I did have, if God was saying to, because it was going to be gone. And sure enough, the next year, you know, I didn't have a lawn anymore. There was concrete and blacktop. I didn't have my own room. We were in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I had to share my room with my stinky brothers. I didn't have, because we couldn't take our dog with us. She went to another family in our church, and I never saw her again after that, because by the time we came back, she had died. And so I just feel like I want to say to you, if you're sitting in that really nice, comfortable living room today, enjoy it, because it may not be there. If you've got the car of your dreams, enjoy it, because it may not be staying. If your refrigerator's full and your pantry's full, and if you want something, you can still just go to the store and get what you want, enjoy that, because it's not going to always be that way. Yeah, enjoy what you have right now. Don't take it for granted. Even if it's not quite what you wish it was, it's something. Enjoy it, because it is not promised that you're still going to have it by this time next year. It is not promised. Actually, the people that you love, I've seen so much death this year, I can't hardly stand it. So even those people that you love, those friends you enjoy, the family you have, if you're thinking, oh, I should give them a call, do it, because not everybody's going to be here next year. I don't mean this to be a downer. But those of you who have eyes to see and ears to hear, you know what I'm saying, and you're going to get it. You're going to get it. Appreciate what you have while you have it. Press in and know God more than you've ever known him before, so that your faith is strong and you trust him to take you through. And live your life for him, not for you. All right. With that, I'm going to go. Yep. And do I even dare say, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you know every day when my new video comes up. And if this video blesses you and you know somebody that it might help, share it. Share the video, leave comments, hit the like button. All of that help me get those things going so that I move up in the algorithms, so that YouTube promotes my videos. That's where the majority of you have come from, is me showing up in your feed. And for those that it has blessed, praise God, I'm so glad. And those that don't get it, that's okay. There's a million other things to watch on YouTube. You don't have to worry. You're not stuck with me. Okay, so I'm here for whoever God sent me to. I love you guys. You have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.